Good morning and welcome to our video today from Yoker Evangelical Church. It's Friday the 21st of May this morning, and in our Bible reading plan this morning we read from Isaiah chapter 22 and 2 Peter chapter 3. If you haven't read those yet today, why not pause this video, go and take half an hour to read them, pray through them, and then come back. It's far more important that you're reading God's word yourself than that you're listening to these videos. But if you have read it, then I'd love to take a look at Isaiah chapter 22, because I think it helps us with something really important for our day to day. So in Isaiah's day, Judah and Jerusalem, where Isaiah lived, were facing dark days ahead. Over in the east, in the world map, Babylon was rising as a power, and it was a conqueror, looking at all the lands around it, thinking, I could take over you, I could have your stuff. And the eyes of Babylon are going to get more and more fixed on Judah to its west and think, we could take them. And so even though that conquest is decades away, Isaiah still writes this prophecy as a warning to people. And it's a warning to people who have lost sight of God. He makes this prophecy against Jerusalem, but in verse 1, he calls it the Valley of Vision. Do you see that in verse 1? A prophecy against the Valley of Vision. That's a metaphorical name for Jerusalem, but it is loaded here with irony and sarcasm. Because Isaiah's whole point in this chapter is that the people who are living in Jerusalem have totally lost sight of God. We see this danger today as well, that we will lose sight. Yes, we see it in society as we become increasingly secular. God is less and less a discussion point in the public sphere. But I think this danger is far more real and far more deadly where it exists in the church. This danger that we would act and live without God's direct instruction and reliance on Him is far more destructive to those who are supposed to belong to Him than to those who are outside of the church. And so let's just look at a few verses here that help us see something more of what Isaiah is talking about. But first, it's just worth noting that people are natural problem solvers. And we see something that's wrong, and instinctively, a lot of us, our minds just go to, here's how this could be fixed. Here's what would make this better. And that can be a really good thing. But Isaiah is highlighting the danger here of self-reliance over God-dependence. Just take a look at verses 8 down to 11. The Lord stripped away the defences of Judah, and you looked in that day to the weapons in the palace of the forest. You saw that the walls of the city of David were broken through in many places. You stored up water in the lower pool. You counted the buildings in Jerusalem and tore down houses to strengthen the wall. You built a reservoir between the two walls for the water of the old pool, but you did not look to the one who made it, or have regard for the one who planned it long ago. Do you see the heart issue there? Is that the people are going to be faced with dire days where Jerusalem is under attack, where the walls are crumbling, and they are going to find loads of solutions. They're going to make a pool to store water. They're going to build up the walls. They're going to count the houses and knock down ones that they don't need. They're going to do all these problem-solving things, but crucially, they are not going to look to God for wisdom. And Isaiah shows just how disastrous that will be for them. This is a warning to those who are God's people, to those who are saved by Christ, who have put their trust in Him, that in all we do, we must depend on God and not ourselves. Practically, we do that by praying, by reading the Bible, His Word, by gathering together with other Christians. We do these things in dependence of Him, so that when we take action, it is not in reliance on our own wisdom, our own ability. It is entirely trusting in what He can do, as we practically rely on Him for all things. We need to avoid this trap that Judah and Jerusalem have fallen into. because it is absolute destruction for those who are supposed to be following God. I hope that you have a great day today, and God bless.